Other hand, we have Justin packing a Greninja deck, and he won't like what he can see in the prize cards. 2 Frogadier already priced.
My goodness.
Oh dear.
Typically, you wouldn't be too stressed out about a Jolteon deck, even though there is a Garbodor in there, because the output of Jolteon is so low. But when there's 2 Frogadiers prized, we've seen this so often with Greninja, there's things that are simply out of your control, and Justin is not going to be too happy with that early start. But we've already seen the Jolteon Garbodor deck list earlier on yesterday on the stream with Ross Cawthon, of course. And again, we're seeing it in the top 32, so it's got a deck that has the legs to sometimes reach the top tables.
We sometimes, especially during earlier rounds, we've seen Greninja builds with Talonflame, so they had the option of attacking with Talonflame first, and then Water Duplicates maybe 1 or 2 turns later, also being able to evolve the Froakies if they are attacking with Talonflame. Well, this is not an option for Justin in this case, because he does not pack the Talonflame. Instead, he just packs 1 Jirachi and 4 Froakie. So good for him, he doesn't have to mulligan here. There's his Froakie in the active spot. And we can see that Tyler is going first with a Jolteon EX in the active spot. This is what you want to start with because it doesn't have any retreat costs.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you did mention Justin's Jirachi, because I feel like this is going to be an important card in the deck. Oftentimes Greninja does have those slow turns, and especially Justin with those awkward prize cards, he's going to need to stall for a little while, and Jirachi could be the key here. You see that he's clutching onto a Splash Energy in his hand right now. Those are also going to be helpful for maintaining enough Greninjas throughout the game so that he can access those prizes later on. However, we are going to see Tyler, he does have that early Ultra Ball, discarding 2 Lightning Energy, and he's going to find himself Trubbish. No surprises here. It's a Greninja deck, it's all about the abilities. You want to get Garbodor online.
Exactly, and for Garbodor to go online, you have usually 2 to 3 turns without being, or you don't have to worry about Greninja Break coming out anytime soon, because it takes 3 turns to get there. And at the same time, we know that not too many Greninja Breaks are going to make their way onto the battlefield anytime soon, with those Frogadier being in the prizes. Justin does not find out about this just yet.
Ooh, Justin, he's mulling over his options. I'm not sure if he actually has any playable cards here. I need to see what he's got in his hand. It looks like the only thing he can do to try and protect himself is the Lysander. He does have the Splash Energy, so it's probably going to be a bubble here to try and stall out, and he does get the heads. That's a big deal. Bear in mind the Shaymin EX does not have a Metal Energy attached, so otherwise the Megainer would prevent the effect of the bubble, but with no Metal Energy, that's fine. It does go through on the Shaymin, so pretty good stuff. Justin does need that turn right now. Tyler can go now. He goes for the Sycamore straight away, and looks like he's looking at the Metal Energy just to attach, so maybe next turn he can retreat. It looks like there's a double Colorless Energy in there for next turn, and he gets the Froakie off the top.
Here we go. But apart from that, it's bubble time still, and this time it's Tails.
Yeah, the Tails meant nothing there, because the Megainer, of course, with the Mystic Heart protecting the Shaymin EX regardless, so maybe a little unimportant factor really there. But we do see Tyler now back over to his turn. We see the double Colorless Energy get attached after the retreat of the Shaymin EX, and we're going to see the first knockout of the game, that Splash Energy returning the Froakie to the hand. So Justin has a couple more top decks, and finally he's got himself a Dive Ball, but I'm not sure if there's any more energy in his hand.
Oh well, and the Dive Ball, if he's going to use the Dive Ball, he's going to find out very soon that he's in more trouble than he was expecting. Another Lysander coming down. Is he going to play the Dive Ball now for a Frogadier?
I feel
regardless,
you sort of need to hold off on the Dive Ball for now. Potentially you could use it just to get one better top deck in a way. You're more closer to getting into a Professor Sycamore or a Water Energy. However, as we see, Tyler's got the Float Stone, so Justin needs that option to get a Froakie next turn to carry on and struggling in this game. But yeah, Tyler's going to carry on. He's got the Flash Ray. First of all, we are going to see Trainer's Mail. He's going to try and get a little bit more set up. A factor of this deck is that he is playing Max Elixirs as well, so he's going to look to get more attackers online. He did choose to put a Float Stone on the Megainer EX rather than a Fighting Fury Belt. If you are able to Fighting Fury Belt up, it does mean you can get one-hit KOs on Greninjas, so maybe that's a factor we'll see in other games. Not so far though. He's choosing to be happy enough with the Jolteon EX, and so far is playing through poor Froakies.
Yeah, you can also see Tyler now 7 wins out of the 11 matches that he's had. Justin 6 wins, but also 4 draws. This is most likely because of Greninja. It takes more time. There are more draws. Draws are more likely. And as you said, Dive Ball is now being used for Froakie, because otherwise he would be out of the game completely. Well, but using this dive ball enabled him to look through his deck, and he now knows that there are 2 Frogadiers priced, so bad news all over again for
Bad news
Justin.
all round. And again, it's one of these things you've just mentioned. He's already had 4 ties in this tournament. He knows that Greninja takes a while to get going and to win games, so there's going to be in the back of his mind. He's seen his prize cards. He's already down 3 of his own. The Sycamore might lure him back into trying to play out this game, but otherwise he may have been looking to scoop there. But for now, at least, we are going to see the Super Rod recovering a couple of Froakies, and he's going to likely just go for the Professor Sycamore, hope to get... most likely he needs a Splash Energy and the Frogadier, because just one using the water duplicates isn't going to really be enough, in my opinion. So we are going to see this big Professor Sycamore. He gets the Splash Energy and the Frogadier and the Enhanced Hammer, so pretty good stuff here.
Yeah, so everything that he could ask for at this point. You know, you can water duplicate only for 1 Frogadier, but if this one goes down, the active one, he can at least recover it as long as the Splash Energy remains at the active Pokemon. And also, Tyler will have to find a double colors energy to keep attacking with Flash Ray. And it's his turn now.
It is indeed over to him. He might, if he's able to access Lysander, that looks to be a very strong play. It means that he avoids the Bursting Balloon damage. It would mean that he gets out of the Splash Energy. It's not like it deactivates the Splash Energy, but it means that Justin is left with just the 1 Frogadier, so it's less impactful. I'm not sure if he has the hand for it, really. I think he just has a draw supporter. We are going to see the Max Elixir to get a Metal Energy onto the Magearna, so that is still an attacking threat, potentially. Tyler does have that Jolteon not quite ready to go, but it does have the free retreat, so potentially that could be the option. We are going to see another Max Elixir here, and we'll see if that works out for him.
Yeah, we can see he's playing 11 basic, and no, he's actually playing
9 basic energy,
9 basic energy,
4 double colorless. The 2 metal, they are tech energy, which is often rare to see, but it means that, as we saw, it protects you from things like Bubble, thanks to the ability of Magearna, obviously being shut off currently by Garbodor, but in other matchups, that can be pretty important. It protects you from a Jirachi trying to stall you, but also it, of course, allows the Magearna to actually be an attacker. And we are going to see Pokemon Center Lady, which is also pretty good for Tyler here. Oftentimes, these Bursting Balloons is what claws Justin back into the game. He's actually picked up a Jirachi here. He's got a couple of basic Pokemon, and he's got an Ace Trainer, so not bad stuff there for Justin. He's still clawing on, but the Jirachi could be a huge help. This is one of the things about Greninja. By playing this single copy of Jirachi, a lot of decks that are using double colors energy try and use Magearna if possible, but because you're a Greninja deck, oftentimes people need to get the Garbodor out, and that shuts off the Mystic Heart. So again, Justin's win condition could potentially be Stardusting for a while here.
Yeah, and Justin has what he needed. He has a dive ball. He can now evolve into Greninja. He has now no retreat cost, and there was energy, basic energy, that's important in his hand. So you can attach to Jirachi, and then he could get rid again from the double colors energy that is currently attached to the Jolteon.
That's exactly what we're going to see here.
Buy himself some time.
And there goes the double colors energy. Of course, Jolteon actually has resistance to Jirachi, so there's no actual damage coming down, just the effect of Stardust. And that's all Justin really needs. The 10 damage isn't too impactful right now. So it looks like it's back over to Tyler. He does have to be careful. He's taken 4 prizes already. A few double colors are already in the discard path, thanks to an Enhanced Hammer, just the one of that Justin's playing, as well as this Jirachi. So it's going to be tricky to see. Tyler doesn't actually play Pokemon Ranger. He does, of course, have Lysanders, though. So that's something to bear in mind. So it's going to be interesting here what he can come up with.
He's debating how to play his Parallel City here. And he's following it up with Giovanni's Scheme, but he's drawing up to 5 cards here, I believe.
So it looks like we're going to see... he used Giovanni's Scheme and Swift here. I need to check with the judge. I'm pretty sure that shouldn't have happened because Jirachi has the immunity. So we need to get back to a judge here and probably get this checked out.
Yeah, we will make sure. And I was thinking that he was going to draw more cards.
I was pretty certain that the Jirachi was safe there because it used Stardust. We didn't see the damage counters go onto Jolteon EX, but that's because of the resistance. So both these players have been playing, and I'm really hoping that this is not an irreparable game state because there was definitely a Stardust that was used here. We definitely need to check this out because the game has been progressing quite drastically. This is a real worry. I hope we can get back to the judge quickly here.
Yeah, we're trying to get our colleagues on this at this time. Justin is still working on his board state here. He finds himself another Frogadier. He also has Greninja Break now. He couldn't use his giant Water Shuriken just because of Garbodor. He's online already, but He deals 60 damage regardless.
The 60 just because of the parallel city stadium, but I'm pretty certain that that was a Jirachi that was under protection and it's been knocked out. I'm really worried about this game and how it's going to continue. I'm not sure if they're still allowed to play or if the judge is telling them about the game state, but we're going to have to stay tuned here because that was a knockout that probably should not have happened. Unless there's something I've missed here, I'm pretty certain he was safe. The supporter that he chose to use was Giovanni's Scheme, so that Swift was able to get the knockout, but it looks like that's not going to be the case. The game is still carrying on, and I'm still furiously trying to get back to the judge here because this game needs to change right now. This is not what should be happening, but we are seeing, it looks like Tyler went for a Swift just for 40, taking Bursting Balloon damage, and the game just seems to be continuing. No one seems to be on the other end of this call here.
Yeah, I'm not pretty sure if the line is open for you or if the judge has called a decision and made a decision already that this Jirachi is knocked out. Justin is going to continue, still trying to find out if there is a win condition for him. Another splash energy coming down onto the Greninja break.
And yeah, exactly, the Greninja break does have the energy. We are still trying to get to this judge, but it looks like it's a really irreparable game state because there's been many turns being played. This is a really unfortunate thing to see on stream, but both players have missed it. It's down to them, really, at the end of the day, to notice these sorts of things as well. So we're going to try and get this sorted out here.
Yeah, Tyler's turn now, thinking about what he should do. He's going to retreat with Floatstone. Yes, just making sure, hey, how are you going to retreat or pay for that retreat? It's Floatstone, so he can use his Swift, dealing 40 damage thanks to the Fighting Fury Belt. And now Justin using... Yeah, just making sure that...
Okay, we've cleared this up. This is something that I've overlooked. It's this effect of Swift's attack getting over all other effects of the opponent's Pokemon, so we can stop stressing out now.
Okay, good. It says, I mean, or any other effects on your opponent's active Pokemon.
Okay,
so
I was panicking there for a little bit, but we're back on track here with this game. We are going to see a Rough Seas from Justin. He's going to activate that straight away, and he's going to retreat into his Greninja with the Splash Energy now. He's also got another Bursting Balloon on top of that, and he actually looks, in a way, back in this game. He has to be a little bit careful. However, Tyler doesn't have many attackers remaining on his board. The Magearna can do 120, but of course that's just shy of the knockout, so he looks to be in a lot better shape than he was, and he's still got those two Frogadiers in his prizes. Not able to pluck one out just yet.
yeah, so you made me nervous there for a second.
Yeah.
So now we're back on track. Boulder becoming active. It has the Floatstone attached to it. Every single Pokemon on Tyler's side has a Floatstone attached to it. And now he has to think about how is he going to deal enough damage to make sure that he's at some point able to bring down one of the Greninja on Justin's side. There's Rough Seas in play, and both Greninjas have free retreat costs. So Justin currently is free to make his way back into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tyler's really trying to look for his discard pile, seeing what can I really do here to change this game. He's been through a large amount of max elixirs already. Getting other attackers going is going to be an issue because it's always the late game where there's these Greninjas set up, they have lots of HP, especially the Rough Seas coming down. Justin does play a 3 count, so he's really going to be mitigating the sort of damage he gets hit with, so that's a big deal. Bearing in mind, of course, the Jolteon can also benefit from that, so it's going to be a bit of a stally, slow approach here. I think he may be cursing himself for putting the Floatstone onto the Magearna EX, because I feel like it could, in these sorts of situations, be a very decent attacker. You do see him look to go for the Lugia EX, which as well can, at times, with enough energy, take 1-hit KOs on the Greninjas, so that's the approach he's found.
Yeah, and also if he invests enough energy, there's also the second attack that Lugia is packing, and with a Stadium card in play, it's dealing 150 damage even. And so he is choosing Lugia to bench it, and then following up with a Professor Sycamore. Does he have energy in hand?
Yeah, he's
though?
debating which energy to get with this Max Elixir. He's thinking, I could get damage on Magearna this turn, with Magearna I should say, but then he's getting hit with a Bursting Balloon and the Greninja's not even knocked out, so it's not quite perfect. Maybe he just has a slow turn where he starts setting up Lugia. It looks like he is going to commit the energy to the Magearna. He still has the attachment for turn where he could start trying to power up this Lugia now though. So Tyler's still trying to be as aggressive, just one prize remaining, so it's understandable here. He can maybe set up a Lysander for the knockout on the one, because you do see there's the VS Seeker, but instead we are going to see the Shaman EX, so that Bursting Balloon doing the job. Oftentimes the card reads, well the card physically reads deal 6 damage to your opponent's Pokemon that's attacked you, But sometimes it just means you pretty much can't attack me.
Here's the level ball now. Let's see if there's another Froakie left in the deck for Justin. Lots of energy. I see Super Rods, Rough Seas. Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't look like too many Froakies or anything of the sort. Not really sure what Justin's going to go for. He's going to Ultra Ball, discarding a Pokemon Ranger. Oh, there's a Greninja in hand. There's also a Froakie if he wants it. It depends really if he has any more Super Rod. He does play a 2 count. He's going to grab himself the Greninja break, and I think this is a great play from him. It's helping him stay easily out of range of the Magearna. Tyler does, of course, have the Giovanni scheme in his discard pile, which can reach the one-hit KO. So now Justin is out of range, and he also got that activation of Rough Seas, which pushes the other Greninja also out of range. So he's in good shape here. He's stabilized very, very nicely. And we are just going to see the 80 damage with the Moonlight Slash going back to the hand.
Yeah, it's a funny situation in which both players have a cap of damage output currently, and Justin, of course, in this case, 80 damage if he always retrieves the water energy from his active. And on the other hand, Tyler now, he could deal 120 damage with his Magearna, but at the same time Justin can retreat and make sure that he can use a couple of turns to heal off the damage with Rough Seas. So what Tyler could do is he could spread some damage around, make sure that Rough Seas cannot heal all of it by the time that Lugia is going to be ready to attack, maybe for 150, maybe with a Lysander, then bringing up the Greninja that is already damaged, and that way picking up his last prize card.
And we are going to see the Lysander now. He's going to go for the Magearna, and he's going to use his attack for 120, and instantly we see, we are seeing the judge making sure it goes up, and then the Rough Seas puts it back down to 110 damage, 80 remaining on the, 60 remaining on the active Greninja break. The splash energy goes back to, back on his bench Greninja. There's inevitably going to be a free retreat here. Tyler's considering what else he can do. The big issue is that he, of course, can retreat. The Magearna's effective attack puts him down to 60 next turn, so he can't combine a Lysander with a... he does have the Lysander. He has the VS Seeker, and that's all he needs.
That's it, 60 damage.
So there we go.
That's
the
enough.
Reduction of damage with the Magearna is still enough to deal with the Greninja break, and that is the last prize for Tyler. So, that was an up-and-down game. We did miss out on the Jolteon EX. I'll take a bit of responsibility for that, but we got back on track, and Justin did as well. He got well back into that game for a little while there. Pretty shaky stuff for Tyler, but he, in the end, had enough damage remaining and enough attackers set up to finish off that last prize.
I have to say, I mean, we were thinking that this Jirachi could stall for quite a few turns, but at the same time, Giovanni's scheme really paying off. Not bad.
Yeah, I've literally never seen that interaction before in all of my games of Pokemon. Obviously, the Jolteon Lugia deck is a rare one. Even then, it's rare to see the Giovanni scheme thrown into the list, so it's a bizarre interaction, but that Swift does have a pretty good effective attack at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, you know there's a reason why we're sitting here, right? So it's good to see that the judge, of course, knew what he was doing, and also the players just continued playing in this case. And now with Tyler winning game number 1, it looked like he was the favorite, or he was very dominant throughout the game, and of course he made it throughout the 6th prize very quickly. However, let's remember that Justin had a very, very bad start. I'm really curious to see if he can manage to somehow bring more Frogadiers in play earlier, if this game or match could have gone a little bit differently.
Yeah, the more and more we show Greninja on stream, the more volatile you see the deck. You see how vulnerable it is for the first 2 to 3 turns of the game. It's almost like you're having a battle against your opponent as well as your own deck for the first few turns. The deck is very difficult to break down when you are going, but oftentimes it really depends on what your opening hand has, and we're going to see that he does indeed have a second Froakie which you can put down. Looks like he does have a level ball in hand. I'm not sure if there's any supporter in there. There's already a Frogadier, no energy, but he's happy enough to pass his turn with not much action here.
The prizes are now on Justin's side, much kinder than they were before. Now no Frogadiers, only a Greninja break. And on Tyler's side there is a Garbodor in his prize cards.
Yeah, that's what I was going to pick up on. There's a prize Garbodor in Tyler's deck, and you can see his opening Ultra Ball got rid of the Garbodor, so he had no way of knowing that the other one was prized until this point, and now he's going to have to somehow recover that Garbodor. He does play, of course, 1 Super Rod, but it's going to be a big deal here. It's really, the clock's on for when he can find that Super Rod to recover Garbodor.
Yeah, good news is Super Rod is not priced. That was most likely the second thing he was looking for. Now he decides to go with a Shaman. He can use a Max Elixir first to make sure that he's getting most value out of that Shaman. 6 cards. Let's see if he gets basic energy. Yes, he can even choose.
And I really like this choice here. He goes for the metal energy. This is because then he can protect himself early on from the opponent's Jirachi, because I think there's a double colorless energy in his hand. As long as Tyler's able to find a Magina, he can then protect himself until he's able to get the Garbodor going. So a very clean setup for 6 fresh cards here. And that Lugia is looking very intimidating as long as he finds himself a Floatstone, which straight away he slaps on quite comfortably. He's going to be able to start damaging and taking the first prizes here. Another Max Elixir as well. This time he doesn't hit. He doesn't need it for the knockout this turn, but it could still have been helpful when you want to start using Deep Hurricane later on.
Yeah, that's an amazing setup. So you can retreat for free, Floatstone, and here we go. First Froakie down. Looks like the game before, but in this case, Justin is actually able to bring out his Frogadier, but...
That's a huge pickup. He picked up a Water Energy off the top. It's no Splash Energy, that's for sure, but it's all you need, really. It's Water Duplicates. It's for a full count of Frogadiers, so I'm pretty sure he's happy to just attach Bursting Balloon and the Water Energy, and then he's just going to use the Water Duplicates. There's not much else you really want to do. If you play Professor Sycamore, you're risking drawing into more Frogadiers, which is far from ideal. So instead, he's going to hold on to a decent hand and just go for the duplicates for the full count of 3 Frogadiers here.
Here we go. Now this game looks a little bit different from what we've seen before. Now Tyler's turn. We've seen many players against Greninja and especially Bursting Balloon going for a Lysander if they could turn 2 to make sure that they can play around it. You would even with another energy attachment have enough to one-hit KO any Frogadier on the bench. The question is, does he have it? Here's another double colorless.
I do see the Lysander in there. He's also got Ultra Ball if he really wants to search out the Magina this turn. That could be something that he looks for. He chooses to get rid of the... I think it looks like Tyler was not wanting to get the Magina out just yet, not in fear of it too much. And straight away we see the Bursting Balloon get discarded as he then promotes it again. And straight away goes for the Dive Ball to find the Greninja, followed up by a Level Ball where he could be going for the Jirachi. And there we go. Not searching out that Magina EX may be slightly punishing from Tyler's side. And Justin's going to try and capitalize on it.
Yeah, Tyler does not have access to a Jolteon now either. One of them is priced, as we could see. The other one is still in his deck, still not being able to find a Super Rod or pick up that Garbodor in his prize cards. And now Justin's board is looking much better. He's able to get an attack in now with Greninja.
Ooh, that's an interesting option for him. Justin's still considering the math. Here we go. He says, you know what, this damage isn't that relevant just now. That Lugia is able to one-hit KO my Greninja if I start putting pressure on with Moonlight Slash. So I'd much prefer going for the Stardust, trying to stall for a turn, get into my Greninja breaks, where it's much more difficult for Tyler to get a knockout on them.
Here we go, Parallel City for Tyler and also Ultra Ball as well as Sycamore. Now this time he decides to limit Justin's spots on the bench.
I think this is a pretty good decision. We've seen a few of the Frogadiers already, or at least one Frogadier has hit the discard pile already. You don't really want to give Justin that option to get another one out if he's able to recycle with things like Super Rod. So that helps out a lot, and Justin's not going for damage just yet, so you may as well try and put the Parallel in early. He's also now going to go for the Ultra Ball. He's considering his options. The Magina EX now is going to be searched out. I was fairly surprised that he didn't go for it last turn, but now he's learnt his lesson because there's another Lugia. Well, the Lugia still has a double colorless energy on it, so he really does have to protect it from another Stardust. So instead, we're just going to see the attachment of a Lightning Energy and a pretty clean Sycamore here.
We don't see any high fives, do we?
At these top tables, there's too much at stake, in my opinion, for some high fives. I mean, we do love a bit of camaraderie and friendship, but oftentimes this is a national, global event. It's everyone's here. So some players, this is the first time you've ever played with them. It's great to play with your friends as well, but here the high five may not be appropriate for all players.
Not appropriate here. Taylor's just happy to have it. And Justin hopes you don't need to have Sycamore every time there.
Yeah, exactly. So Tyler is going to Max Elixir a Lightning Energy to his Magina. He's not playing anything like Ninja Boy, which you might sometimes see in Jolteon EX builds. So he's just putting it on the board so that it's not a Lysander target, it looks like, more than anything else.
And here it is, Super Rod.
We are going to see the Super Rod for the Garbodor, and this is big in my opinion because next turn Justin will be able to start getting breaks out. He may not be using them next turn, but obviously there's the Magina in play now, so Stardust feels a lot less valuable. And retreating the Jirachi to the bench next turn forces Tyler to then find the Garbodor, and then the Jirachi becomes live again. So we're just going to see Tyler have to pass because of the Stardust effect. And here comes the first Greninja break. Looks like he's got a few energy in his hand. I'm not sure what else for Justin here.
Yeah, Justin picked up the Greninja break from his deck, and looking at Tyler's hand, I think he only has energy in it, so he's probably hoping for a nice top deck again next turn. But Justin now considering, well, Stardust doesn't do me any good, might as well retreat here and start with Greninja break. There might be a Garbodor coming online next turn, so let's put this one to use as long as I can.
And we are going to see a dive ball finding a third Greninja. That's got to be a relief for Justin. He is getting as set up as possible, really, for Greninja. And he's got the decision of where to put his Giant Water Shuriken. He's opting for the active Pokemon. I think this is because it's really the only attacker, the only threat that Tyler has. So really it's optimal to start damaging it so it's not a problem. And I really like this play here. He uses his attachment for the turn for a Splash Energy and then chooses to pick up the basic Water Energy attached to his Greninja so he gets full damage from his Moonlight Slash. And also it means that Tyler knows that he's got that basic Water Energy in hand now, so some more Giant Water Shurikens are pretty much coming his way and forces him to find Garbodor here.
A good thing for Tyler is he top decked an N right now. He attaches Metal Energy to Megina, and with that N, he gives himself another opportunity to find that Garbodor this turn to make sure that Giant Water Shuriken are off for now. He has 2 Trubbish on his bench and now hopes for 4 cards in his favor. 1 Garbodor, what else is he looking for?
Yeah, pretty much Garbodor is the real thing. We saw the manual attachment onto the Megina. Maybe he wants to start finding a Jolteon or some other form of attacker, but Garbodor's got to be the thing he's looking for above everything else. And Trainer's Mail could get him into Ultra Ball. He also kind of needs a supporter. His hand doesn't look like it has too many live cards right now, so it's going to be interesting. We saw Ultra Ball and VS Seeker, so here's the decision. Do I get Garbodor now? Okay, well, there's the answer. He's saying, yes, I want Garbodor right now. That's the threat. That's the way I lose this game when I get overwhelmed with Giant Water Shurikens. So I'm just going to put myself down to a low hand size with not much in it, other than the 1 double Colorless Energy is the thing that he keeps. And he's just going to grab Garbodor and really slow down this Greninja a lot because Justin's starting to get a powerful board state here. Yeah,
a little bit... unfortunately for Tyler, Deep Hurricane, 80 plus 70 more damage if there is a Stadium in play. Not quite enough to deal 170 damage. It does 160 with fighting Fury Belt at this point. Maybe this is also the reason why he's playing Giovanni's Scheme. Sometimes it's very good math, especially against those Greninja builds.
Yeah, so we see the alternative approach from Tyler. He's saying, why should I just grab Garbodor when I could maybe draw into Garbodor and also have VS Seeker? But that's been punished because he's not been able to draw into Garbodor. So... he sort of went for a go big play. If I get both of these things, like a good hand as well as Garbodor, I'm in great shape. But
he picked up a Versus Seeker?
Yeah, I believe he's got the Versus Seeker now. He has used the M for the turn.
Yes.
But he's got the Versus Seeker for next turn at least. So
okay.
That's really what he was really looking for the Garbodor, but he felt that with just a double Colorless Energy in hand, he'd be left with everything else. And we are going to see the Deep Hurricane here, discarding the Parallel City. So he's doing 160 damage thanks to the Fighting Fury Belt.
Yeah, so Justin now has plenty of options here. Can't quite see his hand though.
We are going to see a Greninja break. That's a really, really huge... This is going to be an absolutely huge turn for Justin if he can pull off a couple of Giant Water Shurikens here. We are going to see the Super Rod. Wouldn't be surprised if one of the Frogadiers go in there. And yeah, one also Froakie and Water Energy. And we are going to then see the Ultra Ball. He's going to instantly find himself a Froakie. Now that the Parallel City has been taken off the board thanks to Deep Hurricane, he's able to have that option available to him again. And then we are going to see the N. Both players shuffling in. Tyler down to 4, Justin up to a cool 6 cards here. And if he can get himself, I think 3 energy is a lot to ask for, but that would be absolutely ideal because then he can use 2 Giant Water Shurikens as well as attachment for turn to get an attack in. So that's definitely what he's going to be looking for here. Energy is the name of the game. And
however,
none so far. Ooh, that's a huge miss.
None
From Justin. I think he might be forced into just using the Shadow Stitching this turn potentially, so that he, or just Moonlight Slash for 60 and keep the dive, the Splash Energy on board. He's got an awkward decision because far from 3, he's got no Water Energy in that hand. So
oh boy, he's going
just
for the knockout.
Go for the knockout here. 60 was enough to get the knockout, so he's absolutely fine. I believe, did he choose to not use the Rough Seas there? Did he forget to use it?
I think he forgot it. Maybe he thought it doesn't really matter, but...
Well, everything matters in Pokemon, in my opinion. But anyway, Tyler has finally found himself the Garbodor. Garbodor is up, so that's a huge swing for him. That's going to be a load off his mind. So the amount of damage that Justin, he really had that one-turn window. That end was a really big end. Had he hit a lot of water energy, he could have been in a lot better place. Instead, we're going to see the Garbodor comes up, so now none of these break evolutions have very scary abilities. And we're going to see the attachment to the Shaman EX, a lightning energy. Additionally, we're going to see the Giovanni scheme actually drawing cards. Of course, it's in the deck mainly for this plus 20 damage. However, it does have the cool option of being able to draw up to 5 when you're in a pinch, like right now.
Yeah, and he also managed to find a Jolteon EX. I think he decides to not bench it just yet. Megina's going to pick up the KO though on the Greninja break. Good news for Justin is Splash Energy was still on. He can pick up all those Pokemon and put them into his hand and make sure that they are evolving immediately on the bench.
Exactly. This is why we've seen Splash Energy go from a 1 or 2 count into very much a 4 count. When you're not playing the Talonflame build, 4 is the standard amount of Splash Energy so that you're simply able to recycle the amount of Greninjas that you have. And thanks to the Splash Energy, he's able to get lots of Greninja pieces back. Very surprised that he chose not to evolve more of his pieces. Is that all we saw? I think he had the option to go for a break evolution there, didn't he, on the bench?
That's right, yeah. I'm also wondering.
Maybe a few nerves here from Justin. He draws back into that break evolution and simply goes for it and evolves.
Oh well.
However, we are just going to see that was the Moonlight Slash for 80 damage. The Parallel City is facing the way that his damage will not be affected right now.
So he has another Professor Sycamore from the trainer's mail right there. Give it a good shuffle. Now that Megina has used Soul Blaster last turn, it will only deal 60 damage this turn.
Yeah, that's it's a real problem for Tyler because the Megina EX is a great attack. Normally you only want to use it once though, because then your damage is reduced to 60. Nothing on Justin's side of the board is worried about that. Potentially if he's able to find a Fighting Fury Belt, he could go for a Lysander play or something like that on a Frogadier for an easy prize, but not too much good there. He does use a Trainer's Mail and find a Pokemon Center Lady, which could be very helpful healing off this Megina because it's really the only attacking threat he has on the board right now. He's struggled to find himself any Jolteon EXs, and he does play 2 of the Lugia EXs, so I'm sure those are more ideal in this matchup, but nothing really working out for Tyler just yet.
The interesting was he had access to a Jolteon EX last turn, decided not to bench it, then the N happened, and all of a sudden it's gone back into the deck again, so, well, here it is, another retreat.
Yeah, we're going to see the Sky Return trying to get a bit of chip damage on now that the Rough Seas was taken away by the Parallel City, but then instantly replaced by the Rough Seas, pretty much eliminating the Sky Return at all. Of course, the Megina wasn't doing too much anyway because it was doing less damage with Soul Blaster that turn, so Tyler trying to help his own maths a little bit, but that didn't work out. And again, it's a bit of a stadium war, bit of back and forth. This time we see the Parallel City trying to produce that water output from the Greninjas from their attacks. So I'm just doing 60 a turn with Moonlight Slash, even if you put the energy up to hand, as well as Garbodor means the Greninjas aren't doing too much. At the same time though, Tyler's not doing too much either, and they're both trying to really disrupt one another here with another N from Tyler.
Yeah, so while Tyler is still looking for something to increase his damage output, Justin is just able to retreat into several different Greninjas, and if he finds another Rough Seas, not sure how many he's playing.
He's playing a total of 3. I think we've only seen 2 so far, so he
one is prized though.
One is prized. Okay, so this Parallel City could be here for a little while, and that's pretty good stuff.
Free energy though in his hand. He can only use one of them really, just because of that Garbodor.
Absolutely. We are going to see Tyler conclude his turn by retreating that Garbodor, and he is going to attack with Soul Blaster, I would imagine. Before that, we are going to see the Fighting Fury Belt does come on the board, so a little bit more damage. The 130 is pretty nice here. And Justin looks like he's got a few energy, and I think he just picked up a Professor Sycamore as well, potentially as well, or there is a VS Secret at the very least, so he has a pretty decent hand. We are going to see a Dive Ball, and if he can get another Greninja Breakout, wow, this is a pretty intimidating board for Tyler here.
The good thing for him, out of the last prizes, he drew one of his Greninja breaks, so here we go. It's the perfect setup for him. If it wasn't for the Garbodor, there's the attachment. He's going to retreat it and trying to save his active Greninja break until he may be drawing into another Rough Seas. And here we go, versus Seeker for Professor Sycamore.
Absolutely, and he picks up quite a lot of water energy. He's also got Super Rod if he wishes to play it, maybe recover something like Jirachi promo could be something he goes for. We are going to see another Dive Ball. He can look to find even more Froakies and such. He does choose to get the Froakie, puts it straight into his hand, and he's going to shuffle up here. Has to be careful about his own bench size. Obviously, the Parallel City is stuck, so if he is choosing to put the Froakie down, it does limit his use of the Jirachi. Instead, he just chooses to take the Froakie so that he doesn't draw into it later on, and he's just going to go for the Moonlight Slash for 80 here.
Yeah, he figures he's not going to bubble anytime soon, so no use in putting it down just now. Greninja used the Moonlight Slash for 80, and now it's Tyler's turn again. Well, Tyler again used Soul Blast the last turn, so his damage output is only going to be 70 thanks to the Fighting Fury belt. So he's going through his options here, not sure what he's looking for. He also used up his Super Rod. No way to recover that Lugia EX. He's playing 2 copies of it, I believe.
We are going to see the Lysander from Tyler here, and that's going to bring up the damage Greninja. We finally see a Jolteon come down, and that gets an attachment, and he's going to be able to take the knockout here, so that's pretty handy stuff. In comes Justin's... Well, he just has an army of Greninja breaks, basically, and he's going to be able to use Teammates, which is a one-off supporter in his deck, allowing him to get 2 of any card here. Not sure what really he's going to look for. He has a lot of potential options. Oftentimes, I think you're best off still just trying to damage the active Pokemon, the only Pokemon Tyler really has that's pretty threatening. So that's going to be a big deal here. Looks like he wanted to get the Lysander. He's going to just bounce the Splash Energy up, and he's going to attack for 60 with that Moonlight Slash, thanks to the Stadium reducing the damage there.
Yeah, and out of the prize cards, Tyler whiffed on the Professor Sycamore. There was one. There's also Garbodor, but he took a Jolteon EX, and it looks like Tyler does not have many options available to him.
Yeah, he's mulling over what he's got in his hand. There's not too much else he can do. He's trying to count his deck out as well to see if it's worth going for any sort of other play. One great thing about Greninja is you almost hit a brick wall at 4 or 5 prizes, and it's really down to what resources you have left. Using things like bursting balloons forces the opponent to start VS Seekering Lysanders and other things like this. Because you're being hit with Ace Trainers and Ends, oftentimes you're having to be forced into linear plays with Professor Sycamore or just any draw supporter that you have available to you. And really, you just sort of run out of steam yourself. And you can see Tyler's clutching onto that. I think it's one of his last VS Seekers. And he's considering, I can't really Professor Sycamore here because I could end up decking out. So instead, I've got to go for the N instead. The Parallel City has been put into place, so the Jolteon can't be put down. So it's going to have to be shuffled in from Tyler there. Good catch from the judge.
Yeah, hopefully he's not going to draw into it right away again.
That was, of course, the idea. He wanted to put it down so it was something not to draw into, and that's exactly what he has done. So it's a good thing the judge was able to pick up on that so sharply. Another
Professor Sycamore, so this end got him nowhere. He's basically in the same situation he has been before.
Yeah, that's very awkward for him, and that's... pretty much Greninja's aim at the end of the day, just having a lot of free retreat, a lot of flexibility, forcing awkward outs from the opponent. And Tyler, I believe he might even be out of VS Seekers at this point, so it's really down to Justin to see what he wants to do. He's going to simply announce the Moonlight Slash for another 60 to deal with the Magina EX. So in comes the Garbodor now, of course the free retreat with the Floatstone, and he, once again, Tyler's going to have to count his deck out to see if this Professor Sycamore is worth playing, if he has enough turns ready to finish off the game. We're going to see the retreat from the Garbodor and just the Swift for 40 damage thanks to the Fighting Fury belt. In comes the Rough Seas though to completely counter it.
And yeah, he just got it out of the prize cards. From the 2 he was able to draw with Magina EX, so perfect timing for Justin. And now I think Justin has this game almost sealed up. He can freely retreat, and yeah, there it goes.
So there we go. Tyler's going to concede the second game, and we're going to go to a game 3 here. And they don't have long to conclude this third game. I think it was something like 12 minutes still remaining on the clock, so it's still pretty much in Tyler's favor here. He's the one that can be more aggressive. We've seen already in the first game that Justin's deck has struggles, has problems setting up in the opening turn, so I still feel Tyler can feel confident in this game. It's probably going to be either a tie or a win on his side, whereas Justin has to be playing very, very quickly if he wants to get anything more out of this game than just the tie.
Yeah, if you're Justin now, I mean, these 2 players are one of the best we have here in the European Championships. Do you think Justin also knows that one of his winning conditions, or in this case drawing conditions, is going to be that this game is taking too long for either players to pick up 6 prize cards, so that he's actually going to consider his options a little bit longer?
Absolutely. Every point counts when you're at these sorts of records, so there's no reason for Justin to try and do anything that he doesn't need to do. He can play at his reasonable pace. There's no reason to change the pace of play. He does have the Jirachi promo that can slow down Tyler. However, you know, Greninja's best when it just sets up, so you just have to do the same thing. Just the natural high HPs of the Greninjas are just much safer than the Froakie, so I don't feel like he's going to try and search out for Froakie and start going for Bubble straight away. I think he's going to go for the regular approach of Greninja because that's just the way the deck sets up, and ultimately that's how it wins. And there's nothing to say that Tyler can't have a few slow turns and the Greninja can then pounce.
Interesting price cuts here on Justin said 4 energy and 2 bursting balloons. Well, at least not Greninja Break or Frogadier.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, there's never prizes that you would really ideally want for any deck because you've put 60 cards in your deck because you want access to all of them. That's the whole point of the game. But
there's greedy dice.
Yeah, greedy dice is true. However, 4 copies of energy and 2 bursting balloons is not ideal. On Tyler's side, he does actually have the Megaena EX prize as well. I was just mentioning how Jirachi can stall for time, and that's going to be pretty handy because Tyler's only playing the 1 count.
He is, and we can see again Lugia coming out first turn again in double colors attached to it. There's a Fighting Fury Belt, there's an N, he has an Ultra Ball. If he wants to look for a Trubbish, he can do so right now, and he's of course hurrying up. I mean, he has no time to waste.
Absolutely, you can see straight away that Tyler is trying to, obviously he's thinking over his decisions, but every action is going to be quickly. You'll see him shuffling as quickly as possible because he knows there's not long in this game left. When you're against a Greninja, they can slow you down as much as possible. You've got to take 6 physical prize cards. There's no cheating on EXs where you can take 2 for just 1 Pokemon. So straight away here, Justin's turn going to be a lot quicker. He's just going to attach an energy and go for Bubble, and it gets the heads.
You just gotta love it. I mean, Justin is also hurrying up. He's not stalling for time at all. He also thinks I have to win if I want to proceed into the top 8 here. And he's going for the win as well. So both players are going to make the most out of the 10 minutes remaining here.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be a furious pace of game. So hopefully you guys can all keep up with us. We see a Splash Energy attached for the Froakie, and we are going to see the Professor Sycamore. He's able to draw into 3 of his Frogadiers. Obviously, he can evolve up into 2 of them, but it's awkward that he's not able to Water Duplicates out the full complement of Frogadier, just 1 that can join the team on the bench there.
So 1 is going to remain on his hand, another 1 coming with Water Duplicates.
Absolutely. I think he had the option to maybe search out a Froakie. You can see the dive ball there because he does have another Frogadier in hand. Not too sure why he didn't do that. Maybe he thinks it's irrelevant when there's this much time left on the clock. I just got to play fast. I need to just go straight away for Greninjas. There's no point about thinking for my 4th one just yet because next turn it's going to be more important to find myself Greninja.
So 2 double colorless energy already attached to Lugia. It's ready to go if Tyler wants it to. Shaman EX has energy to retreat. First of all, here's the N again.
Yep, and you can see both players, they want this. They want to be as quickly as possible. Obviously, it's important to shuffle your deck fully to randomize it, but they're taking as little time as needed, but still being efficient in terms of shuffling. So we are going to see Tyler, he's eyeing up an Ultra Ball. It looks like he's going to get rid of a Jolteon as well as a Lysander, I believe. And he's likely going to be going for another Lugia. These are often the best attackers in this matchup, and that's exactly what he goes for. I think there's an Max Elixir in his hand, so he's going to try and start powering up the second one. Oftentimes, just a really high HP EX Pokemon is enough to overcome a Greninja player, and we see he's taking the initiative. There's the first prize taken straight away.
Boom, and here's the next Frogadier. It already has energy attached to it, most likely going to evolve into Greninja soon if Justin has... I think he still has the... Oh no, there was an N, so he doesn't have access to the dive ball anymore, so here's an N from his side now. Yeah,
it's an interesting call why he put the Bursting Balloon on the active. It pretty much indicates to me that he wants to attack with this Pokemon this turn. He wants to find a Greninja, and he wants to be approaching as aggressively as possible with this. He does combine with an Enhanced Hammer, which could be awkward for Tyler. We see the manual attachment of a Splash Energy to another Frogadier, so he's keeping his guys around, and instead he just goes for the Water Duplicates to set up even more Frogadiers.
But wait, there's more! So we have 4 Frogadiers and 1 Froakie on the bench.
And now it's just been taken away by the effect of Parallel City, so just an army of Frogadiers. On Justin's side, Tyler is going to look like he's eyeing up another attachment, and straight away there's another double colorless energy. And he's considering his options here, maybe looking at a Lysander. I can see him eyeing up the bench Pokemon here if it's worth it. He's thinking he wants to take the one with a Splash Energy. This bounces straight back into Justin's hand, but when there's no Froakie available, that's not too big of a problem. He saved himself 60 damage there because the other active Frogadier did have a Bursting Balloon on.
If Justin wants to, he can bench another Froakie. He has 2, I think, in hand, so he can evolve into Frogadier if he can hang on to that. But what he really wants now, a Greninja. and I think he has to use another end to give him access to one.
That's exactly what he's going to need here. Trying to slow down Tyler. He's got just 4 prizes remaining himself. But Justin's setup is good here. Both players are playing at a reasonable pace. So if Justin's being able to get himself Greninjas out, he can start damaging here. And actually, he definitely has a shout for this game.
Here we go. Frogadier is back.
Ooh,
but no Greninja. Jirachi,
Greninjas.
there's no space for it left.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. The Jirachi can't be put down thanks to the Parallel City, so that's pretty awkward stuff. There's not really much he can do, but he does actually have the Rough Seas in hand, so the retreat of the Frogadier and going into Stardust, it slows the game down, which isn't ideal for Justin, but of course he has to think, if I can't win this game, I at least have to tie it, so that's exactly what we're going to see. We do see the pay retreat of the Splash Energy, and there's the Stardust for 10 damage, and also gets rid of a double colorless, also giving immunity to that Jirachi.
Yeah, the way that Megina is sitting in Tyler's prize card is going to be the last or the second last prize he's going to pick up. So Jirachi is free to use its Stardust for now, unless Tyler finds a way to work around it. And I think he's not going to be able to attack this turn.
Yeah, it's a real vulnerability from Tyler's deck that it has to play so many specials. He may even he may even consider a retreat here. Instead, he's just going to go, you know what, I need to just take the prizes and I need them now. So I'm just going to go for the Frogadier. He makes sure that he wants the one that also has a Froakie on it. So it's, you know, taking more things into the discard pile, which is obviously beneficial. So smart play from Tyler, even under these time-pressured conditions.
Wasting no time, but now the second double colorless energy hitting the discard pile. So Lugia now hanging on with 1 energy. There's the second one. Has he access to another Versus Seeker? No, this time he has to go with Professor Sycamore, so he has to wait another turn before being able to pick up another prize card here.
Yeah, Justin's turn was very quick. It was draw. Nope, nothing good. I'll just Stardust then, because that's all he really needs right now until he can grab himself some Greninjas and start taking prizes. For Tyler, he has picked up a Jolteon. No harm in putting it down onto the bench as it has free retreat, and it is a potential attacking option. Additionally, we see a Trubbish get a Float Stone down as well. Pretty good setup for him, but all he has to do is pass, and the time is ticking away.
Yeah, Tyler, we saw that Tyler at the end of the last game was running out of resources, and Justin remembers, well, my Jirachi kind of helped me with this, so I was discarding energy, and then afterwards he didn't have access to a Lugia, Megina fell, and then afterwards he was able to pick up the game. So if he can stall just a little bit longer, he has the clock in his sights, maybe he can turn this game around and then later on rely on his Greninja as soon as he draws into them. Not this time though.
Yeah, Justin's still whiffing on things. He tried to play the level ball that he top decked into to maybe get a Froakie out of his deck, so that's one less bad top deck. Not even any Froakies in there, so no active targets. Instead, he just attaches the Bursting Balloon to the Jirachi and pokes for 10 more damage. And for Tyler, it's again a quick turn for him. He goes straight away for the Aerial Ball to take the knockout on the Jirachi and goes straight through that Bursting Balloon. He thinks 3 prizes away, I may as well just keep charging forward with this Lugia.
And finally, Justin finds himself a Greninja, but it looks like he doesn't have any energy. Now the 4 energy in the prize cards come back to haunt him. And now it's Tyler's turn. He uses the Max Elixir. I wasn't able to see if he actually found himself an energy. Regardless, he's going to use a second one.
Yeah, absolutely. And double Garbodor down. Look at the board state. Both these players are just going full throttle here to try and get as much going as possible and conclude this game. We are going to see he's furiously looking at where this should go. It looks like there is a Lightning Energy. He's going to opt to go for the Lugia EX. Justin going to look through the discard pile while Tyler shuffles as quickly as possible, and he's going to try and get him to cut it as well, because it looks like he's got a few Trainer's Mail that he's going to want to play here. So as we've seen, both players motoring through their decks as quickly as possible, and Tyler again, he has the decision to make. There's a VS Seeker in there. There's also a Professor Sycamore, so looks like it's going to be the VS Seeker. So that's going to access a few things in there, potentially a Lysander. I don't believe he's had his manual attachment for turn. Maybe that's going to be onto the Frogadier. So yeah, we are going to see the Lysander onto Frogadier.
Yeah, that's 70 damage.
And we're just going to see
damage.
the 50 from Aerial Ball.
It does not have any energy attached to itself. So there we go.
So we are going to see the Rough Seas. Justin's still unable to draw anything out of it, so even that 50 damage poke is enough here, because Tyler knows that Justin's not drawing much himself. He's opting to go for the Parallel City to wipe out a Garbodor, which is something you often don't see against Greninja, but he doesn't need it. He'd rather have the reduction of damage that Justin can come out with if he does ever start getting set up. Tyler's also going to count his deck very quickly to see if it's worth using any other cards here and start digging even further. Instead, he's just going to opt to take the prize, and he's down to 1, I think, now, so... wow, this has been a really hectic game.
That's a roller coaster right there. And Tyler has picked up his Megina maybe not needing it right now because Jirachi has left the battlefield already. Justin now still not able to find an energy, and at this point I think he really goes for the draw. If he has any chance at all, he has the chance to get 1 point out of this match.
So yeah, Justin, all he was able to do was simply pass the turn away. Back over to Tyler now to see if he can get a way of dealing with potentially accessing the Frogadier on the bench. Other than that, potentially he could retreat the Lugia, find 1 more energy for his other Lugia, and go for something like a Giovanni Scheme. I think those would be the ways to access the KO this turn. We are going to see Tyler going for the Max Elixir. It does hit. He's going to put Metal Energy onto that Lugia, so it's fully ready to go. And I wonder what else he has here. Can he conclude the game in any way this turn? Time's still ticking away, but I don't think he has it. He's mulling over his options a little bit here. He's going to choose to simply go for the Aero Ball. This still sets up the 2-hit KO with Deep Hurricane next turn, even if the Rough Seas come into play. So I think this is a pretty strong play from him. He's choosing not to put the double Colorless Energy into play because he's seen how that can punish him and slow him down. So really grim stuff for Justin. All he's able to do is play the Rough Seas and pass. And I believe that's enough for Justin. He's doing those final additions in his head now. And all that means is that he has to retreat and simply go for the Deep Hurricane here. Because that is 150 damage, discarding the Rough Seas. So, in the nick of time, Tyler is able to take that game. Very exciting stuff.
I think I need a break after this game, but I think the good news is we're not going to go into a break. This was an awesome match fought by both of them. Very stressful. The judge is relaxing, handing out handshakes to both players here. Yeah, well done by Tyler. He has, I think, now the 8th